Showing who you are is the one thing that matters the most in a relationship. Andy and Haley don't get this at first, as they make the mistake of pretending to be who they're not. Eventually, they have to discover their real selves before they can be together again. In the opening scene of Rich Boy, Rich Girl, Haley wakes up from her sleep and reads her daily dose of the Rich Boy, Rich Girl book to get motivation to start her day. At the same time, Andy wakes from his sleep with a headache from a hangover. He reads his copy of Rich Boy, Rich Girl, also which makes him believe it's going to be a great day, even though it doesn't look like it. His friend, Blake, is annoyed that he's exercising when he's going to be late for work. Both Haley and Andy try to follow the book's advice as best as they can, and Haley even goes as far as borrowing from Sasha, just to feel like she's arrived where she dreams to be. Andy arrives at work late. As punishment, he is sent to work in the clogged toilet by his annoyed and annoying boss Kevin, who is tired of him. He tries to mentally prepare to wash the toilet, but it turns for the worse when his phone falls in, and the day is not going well for him. Meanwhile, at her workplace, Haley has a nice day, and even tries to sell the idea of the book to her friend, but she refuses respectfully. Haley and Andy go to the book author's signing event to get her signature. They are both excited to meet her, and the author encourages Haley, who is dreaming about writing her own books too. On the other hand, she gives Andy hope not to give up by telling him to stitch his clothes together. That night, Andy tries to stitch his clothes, but gives up when he pokes his hand too much. In the next scene, as Haley is getting her nails done, she listens as the staff member tells her that real humans never live up to their fantasies. He discourages her from her idea of a boyfriend, as it sounds so unrealistic, and most men who are actually the way she's describing end up messing up. Like her ex. Haley and Andy have their first encounter when Haley rushes into his workplace at the resort, where she's meant to meet someone one day. As she enters, her things fall down when someone pushes her, and Andy helps her out. Seeing she's beautiful, he flirts with her, trying to get her number, but is not successful. He tries to get her contact information so he can stay in touch with her, but she just tells him to find her. Fortunately for him, he picks up one of her books that fell, which seems to have details of where she's working. Haley rushes to meet the woman who has been waiting. She is angry that Haley is late, and doesn't even want to hear an excuse from her. When asked if she's okay, Haley immediately starts explaining her emotional situation. She misses her ex, and even stalks his Instagram page, where he posts pictures with his new girlfriend. The woman insults her way of dressing, and even her makeup. She asks Haley to fix her face, because she looks like she did during her first labor. Ouch. Meanwhile, Andy is happy that he was able to hold on to something of Haley's, dancing in the hallway. He is stopped by his boss, who queries him for flirting with a guest, as he observed earlier. The man threatens Andy with doing menial jobs like washing the toilet again before leaving. Andy decides not to think too much about his boss, because he doesn't want his day to be ruined. In the next scene, Andy is caught playing King of Hearts on Kevin's computer by Mr. Warren, the CEO of the Imperial Hotel Group. Mr. Warren reminds Andy of a fact known only to the two of them. The hotel was left to be his responsibility by Andy's father after the man took him in. He feels he's done extremely well in dealing with the hotel, but failed miserably in raising Andy, as he's someone who lacks discipline, focus, and motivation. Although he has potential, it is being stopped by his irresponsibility. Andy thinks differently, as he believes he's capable of having everything Mr. Warren said. The only limitation is that he is bored, with no real work challenge. Mr. Warren, who believes in him and wants to motivate him, hands over the responsibility of the hotel to Andy for 4 months, as he doesn't trust Kevin. He is going away to Sri Lanka on a yoga retreat with his wife, because she thinks he works too hard. Andy is shocked, but when Kevin is called, he is even more shocked. He doesn't believe Andy can even handle a taco stand. But Mr. Warren doesn't want to hear any other opinion. He gives Andy access to cooperate with the accounts of the hotel and the company cars, and also warns him that he is not to make any major or minor decisions for the company. Andy is excited and happy for this opportunity to be taken seriously by Warren, and especially for the fact that Kevin is going to work as a partner and not his boss. He appreciates Mr. Warren for the opportunity and promises never to let him down. At a bar, Haley drinks a free drink, as her card is maxed out, while talking to the bartender about her ex, who's present with another woman. At home, she tells Sasha of her predicament, and Sasha reads the Rich Boy, Rich Girl book to see the solutions there. To Sasha, the book is ridiculous, because all it does is show men like some sweets that taste better as they are richer. She advises Haley to plan her life, fulfill her dreams, and find love. But Haley finds all these goals stupid and funny. In the next scene, Blake helps Andy get dressed for his part as the manager of the hotel. Blake is shocked upon seeing the black card, which he cannot even dream of, even though he is rich. Andy firmly states that it's a company card, strictly for the company. After seeing the book Haley dropped, and getting a hint that Andy is interested in courting her, he advises Andy to take her out to a nice dinner, and to woo her with a limousine using the company card. It doesn't sit right with Andy, but Blake is sure that Andy will use it. Andy walks into Haley's place of work, and Haley, who notices him from afar, hides behind the receptionist's desk. She pleads with Dayla, her friend and colleague, to play along with her when Andy comes up to the desk. Delia pretends Haley holds a big position in the office, telling Andy to wait for her, as she's in her office. She's also coerced into switching clothes with Haley, because Haley needs to be more sophisticated. Although Delia doesn't want to take the pretense to a higher level, she does so for her friend. After switching clothes, Haley comes out looking elegant and sophisticated. She gets into character and instructs Delia. She even queries her dressing, pretending to be a boss, as they recite what they probably rehearsed in the restroom. Delia tells her about the gentleman, and Haley naturally slips into her role of boss. She's happy that he found her, and doesn't mind him coming to find her at work. Andy asks what she does, nervously. She lies through her teeth, claiming that she's a consultant. Andy believes there are already too many hierarchies and titles to fit on a business card when she asks about his job, making them both laugh. Recalling from Rich Boy Rich Girl that confidence is key when asking someone out, Andy asks her to join him on a date with a level of certainty. Haley tries to play hard to get, but ends up agreeing immediately. She pushes Andy out of the door when she sees Mia is about to come in. Mia is confused upon seeing Haley and the way she is acting. Later, when Haley is getting ready, she fills Sasha in on Andy. But Sasha doesn't believe this story of the hotel executive, as she feels it's too good to be true. She's disappointed yet again in the fact that Haley doesn't want to own who she is. She is annoyed that she still follows the advice of Jessica, author of Rich Boy Rich Girl, who teaches that you need to exude success in order to get it. Meanwhile, Blake also feels Haley is a little too good to be true, when Andy explains that she's a successful, beautiful woman with an accent. But Andy pays it no mind, as he is already enticed by her. During their date, Andy tries to use Jessica's advice to keep the date going. But little things make it obvious that he is not accustomed to a life of luxury. Thankfully, Haley doesn't find out, as Haley points out that she doesn't mix pleasure with work. And Andy agrees. They make a deal not to talk about business when they're together. Andy tries to flirt with her, but she catches on that he Googled it. They get along so well, enjoying their time together. He drops her off at her house, and they both lie about being busy, promising to meet each other later. After the date, Andy meets Blake at their home, who gives him credible reasons for the way he spent the company money, making him feel less guilty, because he already has plans for their next date. Andy tells him about the successful meeting he set up to earn his idea, and Blake is really happy and proud of him. Their next date is on a yacht, and Andy sings a song for her while playing the guitar. She's happy and excited, and they even share a kiss. Overall, it is a wonderful day for them. In the next scene, while exercising, Haley tries to convince herself by telling Sasha that she's not using him. She realizes Sasha's point when she lists all the things like the 9-course meal, the yacht and so on, that they've done together. Even though she knows this, she honestly likes Andy, but is not ready to confess yet, and wants to keep living in delusion. Sasha is happy that she likes him, but truthfully tells her that their relationship is a lie till she spills the truth. Annoyed, Sasha asks where the Haley who didn't care what people thought about her, and her status went. Surprisingly, Haley admits she hasn't gotten laid in months. At the bank, Andy tries to get a loan with his ideas alone. Quite funny. He doesn't have any assets to start a business, and wants to depend solely on the bank. The banker is shocked at the audacity, informing him flatly that he can't get the loan. In the next scene, Andy tries to convince Blake to invest in his business idea, but Blake strongly refuses, as he doesn't invest in friends' businesses. This is because the relationship can turn sour if the business fails. He offers Andy his computer and offers to help with his presentation, but doesn't accept investing. Changing the subject, Blake asks about Haley, and is surprised that Andy hasn't gotten down with her yet, believing that he likes her. Blake suggests they go to an opera, as it will seal the deal, and though Andy finds it hard to believe, he accepts the tickets that Blake generously offers. Meanwhile, Kevin, who wants to take the corporate limo out for business, can't find it when he reaches the park. He angrily curses Andy. In the next scene they go to the opera, and Andy feels so uncomfortable that it makes Haley laugh. Aside from that, Kevin sneaks in, taking snapshots of Andy and Haley, evidence for what is to come. After the date at the opera, they have a light snack and head to Haley's house, where she introduces him to Sasha. Sasha almost blows Haley's cover by mistake when she asks how the opera was for the first time, but they manage to cover it up. Andy has a little conversation with Sasha before she goes to turn in for the night. Alone, Andy confesses that he has never been to the opera before, making Haley laugh because with the way he said it, she expected something more serious. She comes clean about something trivial, too, but they don't confess the main things they need to. Andy heads to the bathroom, giving himself a pep talk on how he likes her. When he gets back, they have a hot makeout session that leads to getting laid. The next morning, waking up in her room, Andy notices that all the pictures belong to Sasha, and Haley immediately comes up with the lie that she doesn't like taking photos. They kiss for a while, but Andy has to go after getting a call from Mr. Warren. He picks up the call in the bathroom, lying that he's in the gym. Mr. Warren is worried, as he hasn't heard from Andy in 2 days, and wonders if there's a problem, or if he's heard from Rowan about the acquisitions. Mr. Warren doesn't have time to stay though, and has to go because the masseuse of his wife is misbehaving. Andy gets back to the bedroom, and Haley wonders if everything's alright. They talk about their plans, and Andy talks about the hotel he wants to open. He explains that it feels more like home than a hotel, because it would have apartments, and the staff would be in street clothes, and he'll call it Crash Pad. Haley loves the idea, because it reminds her of what she also wants to do, which is to open up a spa that has more of the atmosphere of a salon, where they gossip, and call it Community Zen. They share a kiss, while Andy reluctantly leaves. He promises to take her somewhere the next day. When he leaves, Haley shouts into her pillow, excited to be in a wonderful relationship. Sasha comes into the bedroom, asking her to spill the details. She's happy that her friend gets to be happy, but reminds her that he thinks he's dating an owner of a series of spas. This reality that she is living a lie dampens Haley's mood a little. Sasha advises Haley to spill it to him, but Haley doesn't want to. After all, it is her life. In the next scene, Andy and Blake are at a baseball court. While Andy is playing, Blake invites him and Haley to their beach house for the weekend. Andy is a little worried about Ava, since they'll have to lie about his work, and Blake promises that he'll make sure she doesn't talk. Andy takes Haley out to a golf course on the next date, using the company card to pay for their clubs. Meanwhile, Kevin, who follows them secretly, gets it on camera. Andy tries to teach Haley golf, but she turns out to be better than him. After their play, they have a drink, as Andy sulks at his defeat and makes plans for the next day. In the next scene, Andy hands Peter a document from legal. Noticing that Andy's still with him, Peter asks for what he wants, opening the floor for Andy. He tells him it's about a new hotel chain idea. Not even listening to the idea, Peter refuses, asking him if he knows how much it'll cost them to build a new chain. He tells Andy that having Mr. Warren believe in him, with none of the other staff seeing what Mr. Warren sees in him, will not take him far. He also advises him to stop hustling, because it will only get him so far. All of this discourages Andy greatly. Meanwhile, at her workplace, Haley asks her boss Mia for advice on how to start up a business, because she wants to open a spa. Mia feels dumbfounded at the situation, because her employee is asking her to give her advice on how to start a business that will compete with her own. Realizing what she's doing, Haley laughs awkwardly while leaving the place, assuring Mia that she plans to open the spa in the future, and not presently. The ride to the beach house is nice, and Blake and Ava exaggerate as they keep asking Andy about his shareholders, limo, and anything that makes him seem more expensive. The beach house is beautiful and calming, and the days spent by the couples are a memorable period. During their dinner out, Blake and Ava tease Andy for being wrapped around Haley's fingers. They are happy for him, but when Blake asks when he's going to come clean about not being who he says he is, Andy doesn't know. He wants to tell her after he's sure that she won't run away from him, and Ava correctly advises that he'll never know till he tells her the truth. She comforts him as she says that he's not the only one who has done stupid things to impress a girl. They laugh at Blake, who's denying whatever they're thinking. Meanwhile, even though on vacation, Mr. Warren finds it hard to relax, because he hasn't heard from Andy and isn't receiving an answer to his messages. However, Andy is having the time of his life with his friends and lover. After eating, they go for dance lessons, and their vacation continues. They get back to town, and after Blake and Ava have sex, Andy takes Haley to an Italian restaurant for dinner. She kisses him, thanking him for dinner and a wonderful weekend. Haley goes to the restroom, but as Andy tries to pay using the company card, Kevin appears to stop the waiters from paying. He cockily walks up to Andy asking if he's going to use the company card, and Andy improvises, saying he'll use cash instead. Kevin is happy for the opportunity to expose Andy, and can't wait for Mr. Warren to get back from his vacation, making Andy anxious. When Haley gets back, he asks her to go to the limo first, and fortunately, he has enough cash to pay for the meal. He gets to the limo and they head home. The next day at the office, Andy tries to talk with Kevin, but Kevin orders him to go home, as he just finished having a call with Mr. Warren, who will deal with him when he gets back. Andy tries to defend himself, but Kevin blows up, calling him a fraud and criminal, and informing him that he's not in jail only because Mr. Warren decided to take care of it himself. Unfortunately, Haley walks in, hearing their conversation. She finds out that Andy is not the manager, and that he lied to her. Feeling sad and betrayed, she runs out, and Andy follows her. Outside, Haley cries, while Andy explains that he wanted to tell her, but felt that she wouldn't have come to him if he wasn't as rich and successful as she is, and didn't know that she'd fall for him. Haley turns away, leaving a devastated Andy behind. In her room, Haley cries as she reads Rich Boy, Rich Girl, once again, throwing the book on the floor when she sees the Dress to Impress chapter. Meanwhile, in his home, and in a drunken state, Andy still tries to delude himself that it's going to be a great day, and as he staggers, he puts the book in the sink, dumping the rest of his booze on it and lighting it on fire. That night, Andy goes to Haley's house, acting to apologize, but a guy opens the door. He recognizes the man as one of the persons in the picture in Sasha's room, and after putting 2 and 2 together, the man invites Andy to have a game of poker with them. As the men are playing, he keeps referring to the place as his own house, confusing Andy, who thought it was Haley's house. He goes to the bathroom, but Sasha and Haley get back. On seeing Haley after coming out, he drunkenly asks her what she meant by the place being her house, and Sasha pushes her to tell Andy the truth. She admits that she wasn't honest with him. After the confession session, Andy throws up. He admits that he wanted to love her, and he still wants to, but they need to love themselves first, just the way they are, and not as someone else. In the next scene, Blake tells Andy not to feel embarrassed about anything, as he doesn't even know her, but Andy still misses her, even after all the mess. Meanwhile, in Sasha's home, Haley admits that the relationship between her and Andy might have been deeper underneath the lies. She feels she's crazy for everything that happened, and Sasha comforts her, assuring her that Andy is crazy too, and maybe that's why they're meant for each other. Sasha advises her not to be hard on herself, especially since they've just been following instructions from Jessica's rich boy rich girl. The next day at Jennifer's signing event, Andy dumps the ashes of his copy of the book on Jessica's table before walking away in a haggard state. However, Haley, who comes right behind him, apologizes on his behalf. She explains that they followed her book and pretended to be successful, as she wrote that they should. On hearing this, Jessica corrects her, because they both missed the basis of the book. The book was meant to guide them in business, not love, and this new knowledge shocks Haley. Haley asks if they can go for a drink, and Jessica gladly agrees. At the office, Andy is seated in front of Mr. Warren, who's going through the pictures Kevin took. He is disappointed in Andy. He saw something that wasn't in him, and wasted 15 years taking care of him. He advises Andy to help himself, because he can't do anything anymore, and fires him. Andy apologizes for letting him down, and promises to come back not as his clerk, but as his partner. While Andy is reading the newspaper one day, he comes across an advertisement for an auction. Since he kept his grandmother's belongings, he has enough to sell, and he's happy for the lifesaver. Meanwhile, Haley goes for an interview, presenting her idea of community zen to the interviewers. Both of them, in their different worlds, get to work, improving their lives and working on their dreams. In the next scene, Andy has worked on the crash pad project for 8 months, and now that it's out of his hands, all he can think about is Haley. Blake encourages him, because good things happen to good people. He believes that as long as Andy puts his heart in the right place, he can get both the job and Haley. Andy knocks on Mr. Warren's house, and his wife opens the door. She secretly tells him that they missed him during Christmas and wanted him to be there. Mr. Warren comes out, but is still cold toward Andy. Andy informs him about the hotel, and that he's serious about it. He apologizes yet again, even though Mr. Warren doesn't want to hear it, and the wall finally melts. He shows him his work, and though he looks like he doesn't like the idea at first, as he points out the difficulties, he finally accepts it. Guess what? He tells Andy to call him Sebastian, as they have become partners. On the other hand, Haley and Sasha raise their glasses to the first step. As for the next step, all they need to do is look for a perfect company to partner with. However, even though her idea is becoming a success, Haley is not happy because she misses Andy, but doesn't want to call him, as she wants to sort her life out first. Andy and Mr. Warren go for their meeting with the board, and Haley gets started writing a book titled, Winning the Game. At her workplace, Haley's stocking shampoo when she gets a call from Sasha about the company saying yes. She screams, causing a commotion in the spa. Then she quits in style, throwing her uniform at Mia. It's been 6 months, and Haley is still shocked that her spa is opening. She asks for the name of the hotel that sponsored her spa, and surprisingly Andy is there to answer her question, because the hotel's name is Crash Pad. She's surprised, proud, and happy for him, as well as herself. He reveals that he fell in love with her the first time he saw her, and they seal their final reunion with a kiss.